morning, my little skadoosh noodles. We're coming back at you again with the top 5. Figured top 5 squad can just be the skadoosh noodles because it's only gonna be me and you, so we can talk about these things, you know. Just kidding, I'm not gonna wear these freaking weird glasses. I don't know who would ever buy something like this and spend real money. But in other news, as you saw by the title, today's video is going to be about treasure. And no, I'm not talking about R2-D2 back there. He's gonna be watching over us. I did this obviously because on the SamGolbach channel, our main Explorer channel, we're treasure hunting nowadays. Episode 2 of that comes out tomorrow, and guess what? We might make this top 5 list after you see the rest of these videos. But yeah, if you haven't seen that video, make sure you go watch it. It's the treasure of Cerro Gordo, which is actually a silver mine, and just doing a lot of research about that place and about mines and about extra treasures that are still yet to be found. It got me thinking, there's probably a lot of other random treasures out there. And it got me thinking, I wonder how many people that were random explorers just found treasure randomly as well. So half of these are actually by accident, which is kind of awesome. But yeah, let's get into it. Top 5 real treasures found by accident. All right, so number 5 on the list is this guy and his son who found some treasure digging in a toilet. Now, living in a house with 4 dudes, I have seen many a treasure in toilets before, but trust me, this one is a lot more valuable. So getting down to it, this guy Luciano owned a shop and his toilet was broken. And so he looked back behind it and he realized he was missing a pipe. So when he was trying to fix this whole pipe situation, he actually came across one of those giveaway trap doors, which is crazy. So he went down this secret fall away door and saw this whole like contraption with, you know, the pipe that he was looking for, which is great. But he realized that on the very end of this room, there was another opening. And that doorway open to an entire floor. Turns out that floor had not been touched since the Middle Ages and had a lot of crazy treasures behind it. Him and his son went down there, you're like, oh my god, this is so awesome. And guess what they did? They called the cops. What? Brother, who the f called the cops when you find treasure? No, you take that for yourself. Anyway, actually, don't listen to me. That's bad advice. Call the cops. Anyway, long story short, a pro archaeologist came down to discover what the Middle Ages had to offer in regards to their treasure. They found a ton, like rooms on rooms of, you know, ancient pottery, ancient jewelry, relics, you name it, spanning over several millennia. And I had to look it up too, yeah. A millennia is a period of 1,000 years, otherwise known as a kilo year. Who would call it a kilo year? Call it a millennia. That's so cool. Anyway, so underneath this guy's shop was literally like room on room on room. It kept going. Even had like a chamber where nuns would prepare dead bodies. Like, it was massive. So the authorities decided to dig up past his whole like shop or whatever and make this whole area a museum. So if you think about it, he pulled a museum out of his toilet. There's not that many people who can say that. All right, number 4 on our list is a tank story. So this dude named Nick Mead apparently collects tanks. Super weird, right? He basically gets a bunch of tanks, like battlefield tanks, like legit tanks, and like restores them and preps them up. I think he actually does use them, and then also like sort of like a museum thing, but I don't know how that's legal. I didn't really question it. But what's even weirder that's legal is that he bought a tank on eBay. This guy Nick just types, boom, tank, I got it. And after $40,000, one just shows up at his house. I just feel like not really safe, you know, if just a random guy can just buy a tank off eBay. But if it's still legal, video idea, 100,000 likes. Buy a tank on eBay? Fuck views, dude. Anyway, so he's going through his normal inspection, restoration, all that stuff. And while he was inside the tank, he pulled out one of the fuel containers. And he was like, oh god, this is like super heavy. And he opens it up and there's a ton of ammo. So he was like, oh, this is super weird. And he ends up like calling some people in and like reporting it and like giving the ammo away. So he continues the search, and on the second fuel canister, it seems super, super heavy, like twice as heavy as the ammo thing. So he was like, all right, let's put this up. Let's see what we got in here. Probably a bunch of more ammo. But to his surprise, Nick pulled out a gold bar, like a foot long. So like he just like, oh my god, like I bought this $40,000 tank and I pulled out a couple $100,000 gold bar. And then he looks there and there's more. I don't know what this guy did or how he got so lucky, but he pulled out 5 gold bars, and those ended up being about $1.2 million worth of gold. Million. Talk about a good investment strategy. But you know what he did? Classic Nick.
Classic Nick.
What a Nick move, dude. He called the authorities. He was like, you know what? Out of this tank, I pulled out gold. I could retire for the rest of my life, but you know what? Ding, ding, dang, dang, dong. What's up? It's your boy, and I got you gold. And yes, you guessed it, painful as it sounds. What the f, dude? It got all taken away from him. And he didn't get shit. They literally gave him a receipt. They're like, yo, yeah, here's this paper that says you found the gold, but you ain't get any of this money. I don't understand how that's legal, because I guess he bought the tank. The tank was his property, and the authorities took it away from him. Anyway, crazy. Apparently, there was some justification of it. I think it was like the Afghan war. It was an artifact, and that tank was in the war. So apparently, he didn't want it on his hands. Whatever. I would have kept the $1.2 million if it wasn't for that fact. Moving on to somebody that actually did get some money. Oh yeah, you guys like my new Never Normal jacket? I got it like custom made. It's got a bunch of random shite. I haven't decided if I'm gonna sell it yet, but let me know in the comments if you'd like a jean jacket that's kind of like, they're all custom made, so it wouldn't be many, maybe. This one is called A Treasure in a Painting. Now, I don't know how many of you guys like paintings. I haven't really been into them, except for this new house. We got a lot of crazy new paintings. I even got this guy right here. I don't really know why I bought this painting. It's just like a spray paint thing. I thought it was gonna be a cool background. Let me know. However, this painting that this collector bought at a thrift store was only $4. It contained a pretty valuable object. This one surprised me more than any of the rest, and you are probably gonna be pretty fucking shocked at what I'm about to tell you. So picture this, man just strutting into a thrift store. What changed? Obviously not COVID time. He's chilling, looking at paintings, being like, yeah, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, and he sees one of a mountain. He's like, yo, I love mountains. I love mountains too, but I'm not gonna buy a painting of a mountain. I could just go, you know, look outside. But he's like, yo, can I grab this off you for $4? And the thrift store's like, yeah, go for it. And so he went home, threw it on a shelf and all that good stuff. 2 years pass. Throw it up on a shelf for 2 years before this realization, which is mind-blowing. He opens up the back of the painting in order to like take it out of the frame, you know? And when he does that, he sees a little sheet of paper that falls out. And he opens the sheet of paper, and guess what it is? The Declaration of Independence. An actual, original copy. What the f? How is that pop? What the f, dude? You just pull the Declaration of Independence out of your goddamn wall painting? I didn't think that was possible. I thought the Declaration of Independence was in a freaking museum. But here, guess what? Apparently, they made 24 other original copies of the Declaration of Independence. So I think there are 25 total. I don't know. One of them's in the Washington Museum. You can go see it if you want. But there's 24 total ever. And this one, because it was locked away behind a painting, was the best condition they had ever seen. One of the Declaration of Independence. Isn't that crazy? And what's even crazier is usually they're like backed and like framed and all that stuff. Like from the time that they were first copied. There was only 7 that were unbacked, unframed, and like untouched. This was one of the unbacked ones. So it was worth so much more. The #1 copy that ever sold at auction was $1.6 million. And this guy turned around and made almost $1 million at auction a few days after he found this Declaration of Independence. Like, what? Imagine buying a $4 painting, hanging it on your wall for 2 years, and then cashing out $1 million. I'm just shocked that the Declaration of Independence are getting stuffed away behind paintings. Like, what are you? I don't understand. Moving on. All right, guys, so I think this is my favorite one because it's so funny. There's this girl named Terry Horton back in 1992. She went to a thrift shop in California. Yeah, another thrift store. Looks around for paintings, points to a big one on the wall and goes, yo, can I grab this one for $5? And the thrift store was like, yeah, go for it. Like, we haven't sold that in such a long time. Do whatever you please. Huge mistake on the thrift store owner. I feel like thrift store owners should like understand the thing paintings that they're thrifting, or at least be like pretty dang cultured, just so that they don't like miss like big treasures, like in this case. So Miss Terry Horton ended up taking it home and throwing it up against a wall, and it was such a large painting that it didn't fit on any of the bedroom walls or any of her friends' walls, so she just ended up, you know, keeping in storage for a long time. Long story short, years down the road, she ended up having a garage sale to try to get rid of it. She was like, god dang, just someone take this off my hands. But while she was at a garage sale, this art dude, I think like art appraiser or art, I don't know, fanatic, I don't really know art terms. Anyway, he walked up and he was like, bruh, do you understand what you got there? And she was like, I got this paint splatter painting thingamabobber. And I don't know if you remember from my letting my friends paint my apartment video, but Kevin actually also painted this type of painting. It was a Jackson Pollock. If you don't know who that guy is, he's a very, very famous painter, and he came up with like the splatter style. Pretty sure. If I'm wrong though, just correct me in the comments. She was like, oh my god, I didn't realize it was worth that much. The art collector went, yeah, oh my god, like I'll give you $2 million for this. And then she was like, what? No. What? Dude! You had a $5 painting that was sitting in your house for years. This dude waltzes up and offers you $2 million for this painting, and you say no? Like, bitch. Duh fuck. But here's the funnier part. She wanted $50 million for this painting, and it's been 30 years, almost. 1992 is when she bought it. 30 years almost, and she still has not gotten an offer that she accepted. Just sell it and buy a Lambo or something that you actually appreciate. I thought that was the funniest shit. Like, of course, this Karen girl just won't sell her Jackson Pollock to a museum or something because she wants more. Dun 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 dun! It's time for the honorable mentions. I'll make these pretty quick until we get to number 1. Alright, so first honorable mention, this dude was just a random boater, you know, chilling out, you know, all good. And he got his anchor stuck on his boat, so he had to scuba dive down to the bottom, and he was like, god dang, why my boat not working, you know, obviously. And he ends up picking up this rock, and he was like, oh, this is a pretty rock, I'm gonna pop it in my boat. He ends up putting it underneath his bed as a good luck charm. And you might be saying like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, you know, he'll keep it as a good luck charm, and then in a little bit he'll like figure out what it actually is. Nope, no, a decade later, 10 years later, he finally, I think probably when he's moving, pops it out and goes, yo, I should like do something with this. He hands it over to these authorities and thus the museum, and they appraise it, and it's actually a pearl. One of the world's largest pearls ever to exist. This dude just stumbled upon the world's largest pearl. Like, what? Can I get that lucky? I don't know. Probably not. Guess what? It was worth $100 million. $100 million. Yeah, let that sink in. Moving on. Honorable mention number 2, this woman found a creepy doll, as we all do. We love creepy dolls. She ends up turning it over, opening up the back. I don't know what she's doing, voodoo, some creepy-ish. I do that. I can't really knock her for doing that. We all do it. Ends up pulling out this bag of not only a diamond ring, but like hundreds of diamonds in her hands. Just like, obviously, this massive treasure in the back of a creepy doll. Now, a lot of people came out to say this was fake or a hoax, or she was just doing it as a publicity stunt, but you gotta ask, maybe this was just a curse passed down through diamonds. Or yeah, or it was a hoax. I don't know. And last honorable mention, because there was some serious dedication. These 2 metal detector guys who just went around to look for treasure, kind of like our series, episode 2 tomorrow. These 2 men were dedicated to finding treasure. They actually spent 30 years, yep, I said that right, 30 years of their life searching for these gold coins that they knew about. Finally, they got tipped off that there might be coins on a property, and they finally got lucky. And luckily, they ended up finding $10 million worth of gold coins. And it was coined, no pun intended, as the single biggest gold coin collection ever found. And these coins were 2,000 years old. But you gotta think, is 30 years of your life worth $10 million? I feel like that got boring after a while. I'm sure they found some other cool stuff along the way, but would you spend 30 years of your life for $10 million? All right, number 1. But before that, can you guys subscribe? I've noticed, especially on these top 5 videos, the people who are watching these aren't subscribed to my channel. Like, dude, the fuck? It takes 2 seconds and it's free. And while you're down there, if you wanna grab some merch, all good. Let's get into it. So number one, there's this British chef named Jamie Oliver. Apparently he's pretty dang famous. He was in Manchester in 2011 converting this building into his new restaurant. But the weird part is this building that he was converting was an abandoned bank. And I don't know if this is common knowledge, but banks inside of the vault have these things called safety deposit boxes where you can just put random items. You don't just have to put money, you can just put anything. Now this is like space you have to pay for, just like a P.O. box or something like that. And sometimes these boxes just never end up being recovered. If someone like dies, if someone just stops paying on their lease, if they just genuinely just forget about it, that's there, etc. So while he was converting this restaurant, he ended up opening every single safety deposit box before he began. Obviously, why not treasure hunt? He ended up finding over $1 million worth of goods. Imagine you buy a restaurant and then it immediately pays for itself. Like, amazing. So it had like gold, it had jewelry, it had money obviously, it had loaded guns. And also it had like random things like unheard tapes of like these really popular Manchester bands. It's called like New Order and Joy Division. I've never heard of them, apparently they're really popular. And a lot of this stuff had said to be placed there since 1935. So like almost 100 years old. I thought this was so cool because we've tried to explore abandoned banks before and there's a ton of abandoned banks all over the world. Kind of makes me want to go and look at safety deposit boxes, like why not? But anyways guys, last top 5 video, you got that to 50,000 likes. Let's see if we can get 60,000 likes on this one and I'll continue doing crazy top 5s like this. As long as you guys keep liking it, I'll keep doing it. And again, subscribe and make sure that you watch our real treasure hunting series tomorrow on the SamGolbach channel. Episode 2 will be out Sunday, 1:14 p.m. PST. Let's go. And I'll see you guys next week with another video. Hi. Hello. People that watch till the end of the video. Well, those boxes right there are most of the haunted objects that I bought on eBay a couple weeks ago, so maybe next week we'll open them up and haunt this entire house. Maybe.